Good morning, everyone. So on vlog number 1, I wanted to address ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences, and the concept of trauma in general. So what are ACEs? There are, in the original study that was done, there were 10 questions that addressed adverse childhood experiences such as a parent being in prison or a child being exposed to drug and alcohol abuse in the home, violence, exposure. So there's the physical aspects of trauma, the emotional, and so in looking back on our lives, what some people say is that, oh, what I experienced wasn't really trauma. And yet, when you take into consideration the impact that an experience or repeated experience can have on your life as an adult, it explains so many times anxiety, which like generalized anxiety, panic attacks, but also sleeping disorders, depression, and there's just a whole array, as well as physical illnesses that are surfacing with adults. And so in looking back on those childhood experiences that were traumatic, it is impacting us as an adult. And so now we're learning what we can do about that in resiliency. And one of the things that I want to address is trauma itself. What defines trauma? And trauma, so many people think, is being in a war or being sexually assaulted, something extremely violent. But trauma can be even exposure. Children who have been exposed to just witnessing trauma on television or in some other way can have the results of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so, again, a lot of it has to do with not some definition, not some box that it fits into, but how did an event affect you? How did it affect you specifically? And when I talk about my story and the fact that I score a 10 out of 10 on the ACEs scale, people will say, oh my gosh, well, what I experienced wasn't anything compared to what you experienced. And what I tell people is, it's not a trauma, race to see who scores the worst. It's about the impact of the event on you yourself. Sammie's wanting to say hi to everybody. Sammie, you want to say hi? Say hi to everybody. This is Sammie. She's a therapy dog. She works with kiddos. So take your own personal story into consideration. How did it affect you? And what affects one person, there may be a horrific traumatic event that one person will respond like, and another person will respond, such as I did, and just crumble, and experience severe panic attacks for 25 years. There's nothing that is wrong with the way a person responds. It's based upon the resiliency that you learned as a child. It's based upon the skills that were given to you and what you had at the time to cope with. And so as we learn to teach ourselves these coping skills and learn to teach ourselves, well, one, to be patient with ourselves as we journey through this, and we empower ourselves, it becomes then a gift in our corner, to be able to have that power to then take our own power back. So I'm just telling you that no matter what you've been through, You do have the resources and the skills to get through it. And I will help you in whatever way I can. Thanks. Hope your day is beautiful. Bye-bye.